Well, we are loading up the RV, which means it must be time for summer vacation. Well, as I said, it's time for summer vacation, and I thought that we might as well do a video on how we choose where we go and how we go, and talk about some of the not fun stuff like budget and money and things like that, so we can discover how we get these summer vacations done. It's one thing that I like about doing these videos in this channel is expanding our community and getting good ideas from other people, but also maybe getting some good ideas from us too. If we can help you out in how we plan our vacations. So the first thing I have a checklist that I go through almost every time that we start looking at a vacation. And the first one is we have to fit it within a time frame. That sometimes our time frame can be pretty small. Whether it be a matter of a couple of days if we're just looking for a fast trip over the weekend, or we have 4 or 5 days. In this case, we have 6 days that we have to fit in our vacation. It's a combination of a bunch of different things. Of course, part of our channel is talking about the blended life and our blended family, and part of that is we have to work with other parents and their schedules. So we have that plus activities galore, camps and all kinds of stuff happening during the summer. So we have 6 days that we have to fit this vacation into. So fitting into a time frame really puts us, it really defines on what we can do, where we can go when we only have a certain amount of time we can do it. The next big part of choosing where we go is it has to be fun for all ages. We have a kindergartner and a senior, and 6 kids total, with the ages ranging between kindergartner and a senior in high school. So to find things that can be fun for all ages can be difficult. But that is one of our requirements, is we want something that will be fun for our youngest all the way to our oldest. The third one, and the one that's not as fun to talk about, is affordable. So we have to find things that are affordable. We can't afford to fly every single member of our family to destinations. I mean, we'd be spending an absolute absurd amount of money on airfare every time. And so it really does. We have to find something that fits our budget as well as is fun and something that we all like to do. We tried, the number 4 on the list is we try to nurture the interest of our kids the best we can. Museums are not fun for all of our kids, but we have at least one, Liam, who loves going to museums, especially if it's got to do something about history or nature. And some of our other kids really enjoy parts of the museum. So we try to include things like that as much as we can. If somebody is really interested in something, especially in that area, then we try to nurture that as best we can. And last on the list, and something that we don't always get done, but we try, is to try something new. Go somewhere new, experience something different. Sometimes we just do a lake trip or something like that, that we've done before. But for the most time, if we can go somewhere new or try something new, then that always is a big part of our list. So once we start talking about those limitations, then we try to find our bullet point. What is our main destination for that trip? And so once we get that bullet point in there, what is our main goal for the trip, and then everything else can kind of fall into place. So one of the things that really fits many of our criteria is Six Flags trips. We are Six Flags members, and I think the ins and out of the Six Flags membership is probably something that will be good for an entire video. But I think for this part, I think we can just say that as Six Flags members, it makes it very affordable for us to go to Six Flags parks, and it is fun for every member of our group could find something fun to do. Now, our home park are these right here, right there in Arlington, Texas. That's where our home parks are. We are not too far away from Arlington, so we go to Six Flags over Texas or Hurricane Harbor, Arlington all the time. In fact, our kids have ridden those rides so many times, I think they could probably tell you exactly what's going to happen every single second. So, but those can be done on weekend trips. So we try to look for something a little bit maybe further out for this one. So another one of our home parks is San Antonio. This is Fiesta, Texas. We've been there quite a bit. So maybe we're looking on something a little bit further. We've never been to Hurricane Harbor Splashtown in Houston, Texas. So that was a possibility, but that's still not too far away. Going north, we have Frontier City and Hurricane Harbor in OKC. And I grew up in Oklahoma City, so I've been to these parks multiple times. They're small. And I think, while it might be okay for our kids to visit them, I don't know if that needs to be our bullet point. So I went a little bit further up north, and we got to this one, which is Six Flags St. Louis. And none of us in their family have ever been to this park in St. Louis. And so I thought, well, how far is it to St. Louis? So St. Louis is going to be 759 miles from home, and about 11 hours and 6 minutes, a little bit longer because we'd be in the RV, but that is definitely doable on a week-long trip up there and back. So it looked like St. Louis, Six Flags St. Louis was going to be our bullet point, and something that is fun for all the kids. It's affordable because we're already members, so we get to go in free. And it's, something that we've not done before. So it fits many of our criteria, and we can get it done in our time frame. So now everything else can fall into place. So I start looking we don't want to drive 11 hours and 6 minutes all the way to St. Louis in one day. So we're going to want to split it up. Well, I start looking about what's halfway there. Well, halfway is right here in Oklahoma. I know this area well, and I know something that our family has done before, but it's been years, is that we have spent some time rafting down the Illinois River. So the Illinois River right around Tahlequah has some really nice rafting. Now, it's not whitewater rafting. It's more of a float, but it's self-guided. You can just rent rafts and slowly float the gentle river. The river water is really clear in this area for the most part. It's not that dangerous if you go when the water is fairly calm. The water can range anywhere from less than a foot to about 6 feet in some areas, 6 or 7 feet. So it doesn't get too deep. Everybody wears life jackets, and it's I've always loved doing it. When I was a kid, we'd go in canoes, but they don't let you go in canoes much anymore. Almost everybody are in these rafts. So that became our second destination, which we're really going to end up being our first destination, is in Tahlequah. So Tahlequah from home was about 452 miles, or 6 hours and 46 minutes. It's really going to end up being more about 7.5 hours when it's all said and done. But we'll go up here, and then instead of going up through Tulsa, we'll take a right, and we'll come over here into Tahlequah. So that was going to be our first stop, was in Tahlequah, and we were going to raft down the Illinois River. and then we were going to head north from there into St. Louis. Second destination, which ended up being our first destination on our way. Now we need something to do on the way back. Well, something else that I did when I was a kid that I've wanted to always go back is this place in Arkansas. It's Crater of Diamonds State Park. And when I was looking on different ways to come back, instead of going I-44 on the way back, if we went further south, about halfway between St. Louis and home was the Crater of Diamonds State Park. So it would have been perfect for a good stop off here in Arkansas. And I had been there when I was a kid, and it's a fun little place where you can dig for your own diamonds. And about, I don't know, they say on average 2 diamonds are found a day, which doesn't give you great odds of finding them, but at least people still find them. But it's like you're back panning for gold in California or something. You know, you're digging for your own diamonds and sifting through the dirt. And it just was a really fun experience that I remember as a kid. And I thought our kids would really kind of get a kick out of digging for diamonds. Plus, there's other things to do there now. They had a small little water park, you know, as you can see there. It's more like a splash pad type of thing, but it was something that the kids could play in. And, you know, so there was more than just digging in the dirt. But that was kind of the main thing to do there. I mean, it's unique. It's not something that you get to do in a lot of places, and something I really was looking forward to. Well, then we run into problems, right? I went to go book this place. They were completely booked up for the time that we were supposed to be there. One of the problems with having to book our summer vacation later than what we like to do is that some of these places book up quick, and Crater of Diamonds was booked up. So that was out. So we went back to the drawing board, and I said, well, why don't we just come back through Oklahoma City? And we can just come back through I-44. Oklahoma City is about 7 hours away from St. Louis. And we can stop in OKC, and we can go to that water park that's there that I used to go to as a kid. When I was a kid, this place was called Whitewater Bay. And then Six Flags bought it, and now it's called Hurricane Harbor OKC. And the great thing about this, it's another Six Flags park, so we can just walk in free. We don't have to pay for admission. And so it checks off the affordable, and our kids just love water parks. And so when we were giving them options of things to do, one of the things was water parks. They said, yes, water park. And so that became our final destination on our way back home. And so we had now our trip planned. We had rafting down the Illinois River. We had Six Flags St. Louis, and then Hurricane Harbor OKC on the way back. Now, the last thing that we do is, once we have all this planned, is we go to our lodging. And so we start off with the Illinois River. Now, this is where we ended up staying, was this, I think it's pronounced Echota Village RV Park is where we're going to end up staying. This, how I found this place is literally, I just went to the map and started zooming in and seeing the different resorts along the river, and then just looking them up one at a time to see what we liked, what we didn't like about them. Went to some different camping guides. And now there's a couple of reasons why we end up choosing Echota Village RV Park, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. And you know, the campsite was small, which sometimes really can fit us well. But this was probably the main reason. This was about the only place that we saw that advertised they had 8-person rafts for rent, which means that we could rent one raft instead of having to maybe rent 2 or more, because then all of our family can fit into one raft, where many of the other sites were only saying that they rented 6. Had a 6-person raft. So we weren't all going to be able to fit in it. So while this one, it seemed very small. I think they only had like 10 RV sites. We decided to give it a shot. And, you know, sometimes it's a gamble whether it's good or not. But they didn't have a lot of ratings, but the ones they did seemed to be pretty, everybody seemed to really like it. It was not a full hookup campground. They did have a dump station there for when you're leaving, but it was not a full hookup campground. It was just water and electricity. But since we're only doing 2-night stays, we're doing one night when we first get there and then another night after our activities for the day. We thought, well, it might be worth it. This place here, the rates were, if I get it to come up, this was the rate for the raft rental, 3-mile trip for $20 a person. So this is pretty much what we were going to do. We were thinking about maybe doing the 4 to 6 hour one, but we weren't really sure, depending on how much once you're on the river, you're on it. So you start going down it and you're like 4 hours into it and you think to yourself, man, I'm over this. There's no getting off of it. You have to finish it. So we figured for our group, we may just try the small one at first. It was $20 a person, not too bad. And then the RV rental site was $30 a night. So still very affordable. Next on our list was booking a place in Eureka, Missouri. And this is what we ended up booking for our trip, which is Jellystone Park Resort. Now, Jellystone is a well-known resort. There's several different locations. You know, it's Yogi Bear and them there, and it's got a lot of activities. But that's not the reason why we booked it. We booked it because they're literally at the doorstep of Six Flags. So we thought, we're not pulling a vehicle on this trip. It is just our RV. So the less we have to move it, the better. So we thought, well, if we get there and it's walkable, we can just walk from the Jellystone Park over to Six Flags. That's why we ended up booking this place. It does have full hookups, which is great for our party because now we can use the bathrooms and the showers, and I don't have to break camp to go dump the tanks. So and especially since we were just leaving a full hookup campsite, our tanks were going to be full by the time we get there, most likely. So that is going to be very helpful. Let's click on the rates. They're fairly expensive. I don't know if you can see that. For some reason, it got small on me. There it goes. So we are in season, and it's going to cost us $72 for a pull-through site, or $67 for just a regular back-end site. That's fairly rich for us, but it might be worth it if we don't end up having to rent a car or get an Uber or whatever else. You know, that helps if we don't have to, we can just walk to Six Flags from the Jellystone Park. So we'll see how that works out for us, but that's the cost for that one. And then finally in OKC, after doing some research, I ended up booking Rockwell RV Park. It is the closest one to Hurricane Harbor, OKC. We're not going to be able to walk there. So I think the plan is right now for us to get an Uber to take us from the campsite, from the RV park over to the Hurricane Harbor, which is over here. But it's not walkable, but it is right off of I-40, off of a major interstate. So it looks like it's going to be fairly easy to get to. It is your standard RV park. They do have some decent amenities. Got game rooms and got an indoor pool, even though we're going to a water park, so I don't see us using the indoor heated swimming pool. But they've got, free internet and free cable. They are a full hookup. So, and it's a fairly large RV park. And so I think, it should work out for us, even if it's not as nice as what we were hoping. I mean, we're going to be there for 2 nights. So But as you can see, it says it's just minutes away from downtown. So the downtown Oklahoma City, the State Fairgrounds, Oklahoma City Bombing Memorial, all these places I've been to growing up in Oklahoma. The Remington Park, which is the horse racetrack, or the Omniplex, was a really cool museum, and the Oklahoma City Zoo. The Softball Hall of Fame, if you ever wanted to know where the National Softball Hall of Fame is, well, it is in Oklahoma City, believe it or not. Whitewater Bay, which is now called Hurricane Harbor. Celebration Station, which is like a go-kart place. And then lots of medical centers in that area. So it's got a lot of places where it's really close by. So it wouldn't be a bad place maybe to hang out if you're going to explore Oklahoma City. So this is where we booked for our final stop in Rockwell. Our final stop in Oklahoma City. And then our journey home will be about 5 hours. Okay, so for the not fun part of the video, and if you could care less about finances or budget or how much it's going to cost us, if you care less, skip to the end of the video and you won't have to listen to this part. But if you're trying to plan your own vacation, trying to figure out how much these things are going to cost you, then this is your chance. Here we go. We use our RV uses about it costs us about 40 cents a mile for gas. It's pretty high. I mean, it's not inexpensive to drive the RV. And so about 40 cents a mile for gas. We're going to be driving about 1,600 miles. So gasoline is going to cost us right around $640. And of course, this is all estimate. This is our budget, what we are budgeting for this trip. Now, where we start saving money is on the next category, food. Food is probably where the RV saves us the most money. Because if we're not in the RV, if we're in our van driving and staying at hotels, then we are eating out every meal. And our family of 8, if we go to Sonic, if we go to McDonald's, we're spending $100. If we go to a sit-down style restaurant, we could be spending $150, if not more, easily on food. And so that going to restaurants is not affordable. And so the RV starts saving us money quick. We're budgeting about $300 for groceries for the week, which is pretty standard for our family. We usually spend $350 a week in groceries. And then we're also going to budget about $200 for a good meal. You know, whether we stop once, possibly twice at a restaurant, fast food type of place. But we're trying to limit that to maybe at max 2 times. So we're going to budget about $200 for that. And then at Six Flags, we're going to budget about $200 for food at Six Flags while we're there, because we're doing Six Flags Parks twice. But because of our membership, we get a discount off of our food. So it almost makes it affordable. You know, when you get 40% off of your food, then it almost makes it like a regular meal. So we're going to have 2 meals, one at each location at Six Flags. And then we're having a meal that's going to be prepared, a crock pot meal or something that we'll eat when we get home from Six Flags. So we will do, we're budgeting about $200 for food at Six Flags. So that's $700 in groceries or in food for the trip, for the entire week, about $700. If we ate out every single meal while we were gone, we would be easily spending $1,700 in food. So we're saving $1,000 in food right there. So $700 is what we're budgeting for food. Lodging. The RV saves us a lot of money in lodging. Our family does not fit into a normal hotel room. We don't get 2. We have 1. We have to get at least 2. If not, like if some places have family suites, but they're still more expensive. So lodging, I showed you the rates. The only one I think I showed you was Rockwell. They are $26 a night. So our lodging is going to cost us right around about $258 for the entire week. That's less. That $258 would not get us one night in a hotel. And so that saves us money right there. The RV saves us a ton of money on lodging and on food. Activities wise, because we're going to 2 Six Flags parks, and we don't have to pay to get into them because of our membership. The only money that we're really having to spend for activities is our rafting in Tahlequah. So we're budgeting $150 for rafting for activities, and then I always throw in some money for shopping. Our kids love to buy souvenirs, T-shirts, and all kinds of stuff. So we usually try to budget about $30 per child. We tell them before the journey starts, you get $30 on the trip to buy you a T-shirt or whatever you can fit into your $30 budget. That's what you got. So just to give us a little bit of room in there, I budgeted for $200 for shopping. So altogether, our budget for this trip is $1,948. So just under $2,000 for our week-long summer trip. So that's what it's going to cost us. You could probably maybe do it a little bit cheaper on some areas, especially if you don't have as many kids. And it might cost you more if you don't have like a Six Flags membership and you would have to pay for admission and pay for parking. Then it may cost you more to go on this style of a trip. But that's our summer trip. We are excited about going. We're about to head out. So that's the end of our planning video, if you will. Our summer trip planning, how we plan it, what we get ready for. Just for itinerary wise. So stay tuned. And if you're not a member of the Cutbirth crew, all you got to do is hit that little red bell, subscribe button, and become a member of the Cutbirth crew. We love to see our community grow. We love to get ideas from people about some of the way you plan your trips and some of the things that you like to do. And it really helps us out when we get that information, because then we get to find new places to go. So put in the comments if you like this video, if you hated listening to me talk about money. Put that in the comment too, and I'll never do it again. Maybe. I don't know. And but stay tuned. We are about to hit the road.